Hi. Hi, everyone. Happy Sunday. I hope that everyone had a beautiful week. I hope that your week was fantastic. Mine was a little bit, and I'm going to be sincere, was a little bit stressful. And that's because I had a lot of deadlines to meet. And but then I'm here, right? We got to do what we've got to do. Um, keep the momentum. Toby, thank you so much for joining, my dear. So today I'm gonna be hosting Ayo Lawrence. I'm particularly excited about um, the show today, and that's because, as a matter of fact, I already prepared questions for her, but I want to make it very, very interactive because family, relationships, there are topics that have been popping up in the media in the past couple of days, um, from more bad situation to just a lot of stuff online, right? We just read about stuff online, people having challenges. So, hi, I'm interested because I know the importance of family. I know the importance of having good relationships. And I also understand that, sometimes people's trauma, childhood trauma, like we saw in Mobat's case, right, could disrupt different areas of their lives. And if they don't have the guide and the support, they might not be able to live that awesome life. So I'm really excited, like I said, about the show today. Yesterday I was at the candlelight procession for Mobad, and I gotta tell you, it did a number on me. For anyone who knows me very well, you know that there's my energy is is a little bit let me say good today, but it is what it is, eh? It is what it is. It's just sad that that young man had to go that way. It's really sad, really, really sad. So my guest today is none other than Ayo Lawrence. Ayo is called the Queen of Premium Life, Family Life Experience. So she's supported families over the years and nurtured them and guided them, basically. So I'm going to be asking her different questions concerning her work. And for those who have questions, if you have any, say, childhood challenges that you're also dealing with, or problem with your marriage or relationship, Hayo is available to obviously answer those questions today. So it's going to be very interactive, very, very interactive, because I have loads of questions for her. Loads, but I hope everyone had a good week. I trust that your week has been amazing. I trust that everything is going on well with everybody. Please, let's continue to spread light and love in the world. Let's continue to show people love. If you don't know people's story, don't judge their lives. Don't push people to the edge. Mobad, I believe he was living for the society. He wasn't living for himself. He was trying to prove a point to all of us, at the expense and the detriment of his mental and emotional well-being. So I'm going to be touching on that as well today, with Ayo, in view of Mobat's case, where we have people like that around us. How do we manage them, and how she's been able to use her work? She's a little bit like Inyala Vincent. I don't know if I call her name very well. A little bit of that, in terms of family life, bringing family together, helping people solve their generational challenges or foundational problems and all that. So, Toby, thank you once again for joining. So please help me share this live as I wait for my guest today. I hope, like I said, I hope everyone had a good week. And the week, yes, Hayo has joined. So, okay, Ayo, please, I'm going to send you an invitation. Yeah, she's here. I hope our network would allow. I sent her, yeah, okay. Yes. I saw the table and I was going to say, is that food because I'm a foodie. So when I saw plates, I said, did you bring food on the show? Are we eating before we start the show? Thank you so much for joining, Ayo.
You're welcome.
I was just telling folks about you, and I said I'm really um, interested in the topic today, being the power of family dynamics, and that is because there's a trend going on right now, in view of the viral topic of the young boy that died, and how family play a huge role in the way children turn out. And but then, of course, before we go into that, let me quickly read. Listen, Ayo has I don't know, my guests, they always have very fantastic long profiles. Yeah, I am blessed with amazing guests. They always have these profiles that will just make you say, wow. All right, so Ayo Lawrence is more than just a name. It's a symbol of empowerment, transformation, and leadership with a passion for helping individuals and families achieve personal and organizational bliss. Ayo has become a beacon of hope and change for many, known by our tribe as Queen of Premium Life Practice and Transformational Coach. Our journey is one profound of impact and unwavering commitment. Ayo is also the founder of L Cubed. I hope I called that correctly, Ayo.
L Cube, yes, the co-founder.
She's a co-founder. Thank you. Of L Cube, and of course she has different initiatives that we're going to be talking about today regarding our work. But the first thing I want to ask you, Ayo, is how was your week? I always like to know how people's week.
My week was fine. Like I told you, I'm back in school.
Okay.
I'm taking a course in addictions and mental health. So it's been that of submitting papers, doing references, working on citations, and just having all this back to back. But in all, it's been quite fulfilling, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful.
Great.
Really, really grateful.
Amazing.
Yes.
Gratitude is a big deal. It's it's an important point of manifestation as well. When you show gratitude, you attract more to yourself. And so I want to ask you very quickly before we go into the session for today. The name L Cubed. How did you?
Yeah.
Yes. I love brand stories. I love to know the name behind people's brands. So how did you coin that name?
Okay, so L Cubed stands for living, loving, and laughing. So those were three things I wasn't doing before. Before I started, on the journey of self-discovery, I wasn't living. I wasn't loving, even though I thought I was loving. But with understanding now, I realized I wasn't loving at that point in time. And I wasn't laughing. But what I do most of the time now is I laugh. I smile. I was always serious, as if all the load in this world were packed on my head. So by the time I found myself, I discovered myself, began to walk in purpose, I realized that, okay, living, loving, laughing, L Cubed, 3 L's, So that was how we came about the L Cubed. Some people think, does it have anything to do with God? I said, well, love, God is love anyway, so, but it's not a name of God. It's actually 3 L's, L Cubed. And I did mathematics my first degree. So you can imagine where the cubed is coming from. Yes. The mathematical mindset, played out. Yes.
That's fantastic. And I also know that you are an NLP practitioner, certified coach. I don't know how they coined the word for that. So do you want to talk quickly about how you've used NLP and emotional intelligence to how has it impacted the work that you do?
Okay, yes. NLP has to do with you being able to organize your thinking, your feeling, and your language. You know, it's about your beliefs, how it affects your behavior, and at the end of the day, the results that you get. So what we use, you know, NLP to do is to help people to be able to change their thinking. What do they believe? Their mindsets. How do they see themselves? How do they see things such that it begins to impact their behavior, their outlook to life? And at the end of the day, it gives them the results that they want. Then emotional intelligence is, we call EQ as well, is the ability to understand and manage your own emotion in such a way that it's positive. It helps you to be able to manage stress. It helps you to be able to overcome challenges. It helps you to be able to even diffuse conflict. So we help our clients to be able to use both NLP and emotional intelligence. And there is something very key, you know, that I think you overlooked while you were having, while you started. And it's family systems engineering, because that was where I actually started my journey. And family systems engineering actually combines psychology, it combines faith, psychology, science, and critical reasoning in creating a system that is easy to adopt and implement. So we have a combination of faith, of science, psychology, and critical reasoning. And at the end of the day, you have a system that is easy to implement. And we also find out that with family systems engineering, you can measure whatever result you have. And we combine strategy, we combine therapy, and we combine coaching. So those three things we combine when we are, you know, making use of we call it the FSC approach, when we're making use of the FSC approach. So I actually started my journey using the FSC model. Then I went into NLP and added onto it emotional intelligence. And at the moment, about delving into hypnotherapy as well, because I know that all these things, you know, work together to help our clients get to a point wherein they begin to live fulfilled and blissful lives.
Amazing. So for those who don't know the nitty-gritty of NLP, because you know you've used those terminologies right now. I know you've broken it down, you know, so I would ask that, you know, how did it impact your work? You know, how did it impact the work that you do? Yeah, based on, you know, you're a family life coach, you support families, so maybe that would help a layman to understand how NLP works. Yeah, so please can you break it down?
So I'll say that the first thing that FSC, NLP, EQ did for me was to impact my own life. So it started with me. I realized that I wasn't living life to the fullest. I realized I was living life on other people's terms. I realized I wasn't really, you know, the best version of me. So it started with me. And then the tools that I got from all this exposures, trainings, certifications, courses, I deployed it on my family. After I dealt with myself, I now deployed it on my family. Started with my husband, our children, and after that, when I found out that it works, and I'll tell you, you know, in a nutshell, what all this is all about. When I found out that it works, I now began to work with clients. So it started with me. So what are the things that this courses helped me to you know, to discover? It helped me to be able to find out who I am. I had to ask myself some very critical questions. Who am I? When all my titles are taken, of being a mother, of being a wife, of being a coach, who am I really, my essence? So it helped me to be able to discover that. I was able to craft my vision. I was able to elicit my values. I was able to come up with my own personal creed, you know. So those are the things when people, you know, work with us, those are the things that we help them to do. First, to work on themselves. And even when people have issues in their homes, the first thing we do is, let's talk about you. So we take them through personal evolution therapy. We go into their childhood. In case they've had maybe adverse childhood experiences, we unearth all that, deal with all that, because we've come to realize that most of the time, it's not really about the other party.
Yes.
And even if it's about the other party, that other party must have had some things that happened to him or her while he or she was growing up that made him or her to begin to behave in that particular way. Because when we were all given birth to, we were crystal clear, like crystal clear water. You know, we didn't tell our parents that, Mom, by the time I'm 5, I will show you Pepe. Or by the time I get married, my wife, I will show her so much stress. No. But as we go, as we go through life, things happen and becomes traumatic for quite a number of people. And at the end of the day, we become who really we aren't, as it were. Let me give an instance myself. I said that I wasn't the type that laugh and smile and all. It was in the process, because after I did my certification, I decided to go into therapy myself, just to help me, because I believe in what I learned. And I realized that when I was 5 years old, I was diagnosed of a kidney disease called nephrotic syndrome. And it was at that point that I went into my shell. At that point, because my therapist, who happens to be my coach, my mentor, Chris Fuwe, took me through what we call the road mapping chain. And he told me to ask the people that know me between the ages of 0 and 5, 5 to 10, 11 to 15, like that, to tell me how I was. And my sister told me that between the ages 0 and 5, I was a happy-go-lucky, all over the place. I had small bow leg then, and a bit plumpy with my bum. I'll be shaking my bum all over the place. I can talk to anyone. I can start off conversations with anyone. That was who I was between ages 0 to 5. But when nephrotic syndrome struck at age 5, I went into my shell. And that was how I took on that melancholic, personality. Till, I grew up. And to the glory of God, I was healed of nephrotic syndrome, because I was told that it can only be managed. That's the way I'll live, the whole of my life. That I may have to have a kidney transplant at some point and all. But at some point, I trusted God, and God stepped in. And now I'm healed, I'm whole, no traces of nephrotic syndrome again. I'm actually now an advocate of those dealing with nephrotic syndrome. So such an experience had a traumatic effect on me and made me to take on another personality. So if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't have known, and I wouldn't have known what to do with myself. So our experiences, our the environment wherein we grew up in, all those things, come together to influence who we are and how we turn out in life.
And is it safe? I like the way you ended that. So it means it is safe to say that your childhood inspired what you do now. Your life experience, inspired who you are now. The things that
Absolutely.
yes. And,
Absolutely.
I was just telling people before you came on live, regarding the issue we're having in Nigeria at the moment, the viral issue. And I said, no matter how we want to check this out, we cannot overlook childhood and the early life of that young boy. We can try and dissect the main cause of the issue, but I personally would love for, family mediators like yourself to sort of like use it as a yardstick, right? To educate a lot of parents. Like, listen, intentional parenting is a thing.
It is.
You can't just afford to let your children go into the world unguided.
Indeed.
So thank you very much for for sharing that. In your role as a family mediator, is there any experience that you've had that stood up for you, in your role in mediating for families? I would very much love to hear that, any experience at all. Because I was telling people, I said, you are like an Inyala Vincent. You're like an Inyala, and I know how it is when you have to
Yeah.
mediate for family, when you
Yeah.
have to be like the middle person,
Yeah.
in between folks who are trying to come together, or even folks who are saying, you know what, this is not working anymore. Let us give it a break. So which one of those experiences really
Okay.
stand
I'm
up for you?
actually trying to recollect a particular one, but the one that's, came out strongly for me happened to be one between a landlord and a tenant. I was at the mediation center at Lekki, in Lagos, Nigeria at that point in time. And they came in and, the landlord was, kept saying, you have to leave my house, you have to leave my house, you have to leave my house. But I was hearing an undertone. It was beyond, you have to leave my house. I was beginning to hear, he will just wake up, he won't greet, he won't say anything, And I just found out that it wasn't so much about him leaving the house. The landlord was expressing the fact that he wasn't respecting her enough. And what she just wanted to hear from the young man was, I am sorry. And immediately I picked that. I just looked at the guy. I said, have you apologized to Mama? And he said, he shrugged. I said, can you apologize to Mama? And that was it. Immediately the guy said, I'm sorry, and he prostrated. That was it. The issue was resolved. Mama said he can continue to live in her house. So you can imagine, he still boils down even to the family. It boils down to where the young man is coming from. Because the young man was was saying, oh, I've not done anything wrong. I pay your rent. I do this, I do that. But Mama was, talking subtly that you are not doing some things I expect you to do. I expect you to say you're sorry for some things you have done to me. That will solve my challenge. And immediately the young man said he was sorry. Mama just busted into laughter. It was so funny that day. It was so funny. And for me, that's the power of being able to listen. Because I was listening for the unspoken, desire. It helped us to be able to, touch the issue in good time and to get it resolved. So for me, that was one mediation experience that I had that was really, really so fascinating.
An interesting one at that. But is it safe to also say that Mama also grew up around people that love respect?
Exactly.
I am saying this because I have aunts and uncles who are very heavy on respect. Like, you do not disrespect people in front of them. They feel very, and like, they are very attentive to the way you greet your elders, the way you speak to people. So someone comes into the house and you sit down, you say, Karoma, no, you kneel down and greet.
Indeed.
No matter where you are, no matter who you are, in that moment they are there, you kneel down to greet that person. So while questioning the story, I'm like, okay, what if it's one of my uncles that I know like doesn't joke with respect, right? And it became a part of me as well, because I respect elders, I respect people a lot, and sometimes I overdo it as well. And when you overdo it is when you are being careful. Absolutely. You really want to express, but there's no proper expression because you're like, okay, they said I should always respect elders.
And I'd like to say something to that. I grew up in Ilorin, Kwara State, Nigeria, and we're so very much big on respect. And by the time I got married, I moved to Lagos, Nigeria. I carried on with my respect. So anybody I see and we are speaking in Yoruba is that kind of a thing. And people would say, oh, you are older than I am, don't use for me. I said, okay, I'll try. But if I don't, just take me as I am. This is the way I've been for over 40 something years of my life. I want me to change it one day, you have to try. So just leave it as it is. So there was a time I took a course in a certification in entrepreneurial management at Lagos Business School. And I was assigned a mentor. And I was meant to speak with my mentor. I was meant to have a conversation with my mentor and to just meet up with her. And, I just said, let me also, let me also Turaka now and just feel among. And I just put a call through to her. And I said, I called the person by her name, and just did, let's just have this conversation. Lisa, let's just have it like that. I wasn't myself. I wasn't my authentic self, really. That was what happened. And, the person on the other side, was warm and all. And she told me, that her factory is at Ibadan. I should, come over to Ibadan and see her. Esther, as I got to Ibadan, and she came to the gate of the factory to receive me, my tongue changed.
Tell me more.
And you know what she did? She just started laughing. She said, Ayo, what happened to you? Or is it not the same you that I spoke on? We spoke it on the phone. What happened to you? I just said, please, forgive me. That wasn't my authentic self. I just wanted to feel among. And that was how, I just told myself that, Ayo, just be yourself.
Yes.
Just be yourself. This is you. You grew up, doing that to everyone. Don't, because of where you are at or what you think you are becoming, now
disrespect people.
And for me, that was a huge lesson. That was a huge lesson. So I know you, I don't know you, I'll do that.
Thank you for sharing that. And, I hear you. The power of being authentic, is unquantifiable, the ripple effects of it, and people don't get it. And for people who are not used to respect, who are not used to the air or the kneeling, it might come to them as, you're doing too much, and some other people, there are different kinds of people and the way we were all raised. I would say that for a lot of us, it's hard to unlearn certain things.
Yeah.
Because if you grew up in a particular way, like I said, I dare not sit and greet people in front of either my mom or my uncles or my aunts. Who are you to sit and be greeting? Right? So even when my mom in front of them is saying, in my mind, maybe when I just go back from uni and I'm like, take it easy now. Because take it easy. I know I will kneel, right? So where am I going to with this? I also feel like in raising children, and when we teach them to be nice, right? When we teach them to respect people, we should also have that silver lining of saying, stand up for yourself. Because a person could be older than you and cross the line.
Did
you keep quiet because you were raised to always respect people at the detriment of your mental and emotional well-being? So I'm putting it to you now. For a child that was raised, to respect people, the diverse effect sometimes is always them rebelling. If people, see that respect as weakness, how would you counsel that kind of person who was raised that way?
So I tell people that respect does not mean you're being subservient. They are two different things. So that's where we get it all mixed up, if I respect you, that means I'm subservient. That means I can't ask you a question. That means I can't say, mom, what do you think about this? Mom or dad, I don't think it should be, in this particular way. So we need to understand when we are raising our children to be respectful, it's not for them not to be able to ask questions. It's not for them not to be able to say, this is my own opinion. It's not for them not to be able to say, I disagree with you on this. It's for them to be able to say it in such a way that it does not disrespect the other party. The way they would want to be questioned. They should question the people in their lives, the way they themselves want to be questioned.
Yeah.
So it's not that you're questioning the person to make the person feel less than a human being, or to make the person feel, how are you thinking? Don't you have brain? What are you saying? That kind of a thing. You can still pass the same message across in such a way that the other party feels honored, feels respected, feels, heard, feels valued, and at the end of the day, is willing to give you response to your question. Yesterday, I had a masterclass with a group of people. It was a communication anchoring masterclass, and those are the things we talked about. How do you communicate with people in such a way that you get the response that you really, really want at the end of the day? So it's important. You being able to, have conversation with people or question people does not mean that you disrespect them. You should be able to balance that. You talk to them in such a way that you want to be talked to as well. So I think when we switch the role, it helps us to be able to know how well to deal with people, to work with people, to question people, and to relate with people. Yeah.
Thank you. I like that last part. To deal with people, to question with people, to question people, and to relate to people. That should be something we should coin like a quote, because those three things, they play, very integral roles when it comes to interpersonal communication. Sometimes some words are also lost in text. I tell people, people read words differently, and you got to sometimes set the tone of the way you understand and digest words with people. So somebody can come up and say, hey. So you, hey, is like, and the person is younger, and you are raised with respect. Who is your hey? And here, because and the person maybe was raised in a home where they always greet themselves, even the mother and the father, with, hey, hi, hey, hi. So like you said, we need to know how to also give people grace when it comes to communication. That's what I hear from the explanation I'm giving. So let's go to your work. Basically, I know you are into quite a number of things. You have different organizations. Can you touch a bit about these initiatives that you have, and what you do with them, and how it has impacted the society?
Okay. So under L Cubed, we have what we call the Journey to Wholeness. And here it's our CSR initiative. So we give people 4 free sessions, people who can't pay for therapy, for coaching or counseling. So we give them 4 free sessions. So you just come to us, we look at your challenge, we're sure that indeed you can't afford to pay, and we just take you on. And we've done close to 200 individuals in the past 2 years. We've been able to get people give us sponsorship. We actually got a grant from Flourish Africa. That was last year. I pitched that initiative, and we were given a grant. So what we do with the grant is to sort of give our counselors, because we have over 20 counselors, therapists that work with us on that, just give them a token, thank you for supporting these people, because we know that if they had come into their practice or their therapy room, I know how much they would have charged, but we just give them a token. So whatever people, give to us, we just use it to pay our volunteer therapists, coaches, and counselors. So that's one. Then I also coordinate an intercessory ministry, and it started in 2007. And under that, we have the Grand Core Empowerment Initiative. So what we do through that, we help the homeless, we help people with legal issues, and I'll just cite examples on that. We help children. So we've done outreaches to children. There was a time we lived in Kenya, so we did outreaches to children in orphanages and all. We've been able to set up an ex-commercial sex worker in business, such that she now has people working with her. She's gotten her own shop. She just got her own land. There was sometimes last year we did the foundation of the land before I moved to Canada. So we've been able to do that. We help people during COVID. We came up with a food bank and all. So we do that all under the Grand Core Empowerment Initiative of the Praying Hannah's Ministry. Yeah. So basically, those are the two initiatives, that we have running at the moment.
Amazing. And that's powerful. I just want to touch on the Kenya path.
Okay.
Was that for a specific reason? Just you choosing Kenya.
Okay.
Was there a reason why you chose Kenya?
No. We lived in Kenya for about 4.5 years. My husband was an expatriate. I was an expatriate's wife in Kenya at that point in time. So we were able to support the people, the community wherein we were, in Kenya. So apart from that, we have other places. We've gone to Red Cross, the Motherless Babies Home at Makoko. We've gone to the home for the aged. We've supported widows. We've gone to there's this other center by Pastor Tony Rapu for ex-commercial sex workers as well. We've gone on outreach to them as well. So we've done quite a number of work. We started in 2007. That was when it started, and it's amazing. In 2007, when it started, what was dropped in my heart was something online. When online was not even the thing. So what I was doing at that point in time was I'll come up with the prayer points and everything, and I'll go to the cyber cafe with my 100 naira, for 1 hour. I'd already done all my, my prayer outlines. I'll put them on a floppy disk. You remember, floppy disk. Then I'll take to the cyber cafe so that I'll be able to manage my 1 hour and just send emails out to people. And that was how we started, because the instruction was, for me, was so strong online. So when Facebook, the day Facebook Live happened, I knew. I was so excited. It was as if they dropped $1 million, $1 million, on my laps. I was one of the first people that jumped on it. And at that time, a lot of people were like, only you just talking. You don't even know whether people are listening to you or not listening to you. So it's been amazing, the journey over the years. Let me just mention here, there had been times I'd been tired. There had been times I'm like, you know what, I'm not doing. Let me even tell you one. This year, I just called the board. I said, I'm no longer doing it. I'm done. And we actually, had an AGM and we wound it down. But by the time I came to Canada, and I was much more, relaxed. I said, Ayo, are you sure you are thinking right? And you heard right? And I know it's something I'm passionate about. I know it's something I can't just drop. And that was how I went back to the board. I said, I'm back. They just laughed. They said, you this girl. I said, I'm permitted to be tired. I'm a human being. Yes. So what I just learned from that experience is when you're tired, rest. Just rest. Just keep it aside for a bit and go back to it again.
Yeah. That's it. No cap at all.
Yeah.
And I was, I love the way you put that. And I love it when professionals like you say that, because the world has made us believe that people have to be on the go. Everybody wants to compare their chapter 10 to someone else's chapter 11. And for me personally, I think what I've learned from, I'll continue to refer to this viral issue right now, is that we need to give people grace. Yes. We need to ask people questions. When people decide to take that break, don't just feel they are lazy. Yeah. No, they might be taking a break for their sanity. And for you, you're tagging them lazy. No. What if they don't have the emotional capacity to go on? What if the idea you're sharing with them, they don't have the mental capacity to follow through with it? They have seen the end at the beginning, but you are seeing the bigger picture for somebody who is like, no, because for me, I feel like the young man was just going and going and going. He was trying to impress the world. No, but people didn't ask the right questions. Like, how are you really doing?
How are you?
How are you? It was more about the music, feeding us with the music. So the idea of taking breaks too, I also believe, and I'm going to come to that, and that's relationships, marriages. and when people need to slam the brakes. So as a family mediator, I want to ask you, this question, because I'm going to ask you in two parts. Now, the first one is the common issue that we hear all the time, domestic violence. What are your thoughts as a family mediator when a person, I'm not going to say, because I know it's a two-way traffic, men also get abused in marriages and relationships. What are your thoughts on couples who are living in an abusive environment, in a toxic marriage? What are your thoughts on that?
So what I tell people is, I don't like giving a blanket response, because each situation is unique. But the bottom line is, before a woman starts beating a man or a man starts beating a woman, you would have seen the signs. It doesn't just happen. The person just, doesn't just wake up and say, oh, I want to beat you today. At some point, some things would have happened to show that this person has this tendency. So maybe you were just so much in love, you overlooked, and all. That happened. So domestic violence doesn't just happen in one day. And when you find out that someone has that tendency, you need to find out how that person grew up. Because if an individual grows up in a warm and loving environment, the tendency for the person to become violent is very, 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 very slim. But if the person grew up in a place that is toxic, the tendency for the person to become toxic, even though he or she may keep saying, oh, I don't want to be toxic, I don't want to be like my mom, I don't want to be like my dad, unless something happens, unless there is an intervention, the person most likely will grow up being toxic. So you need to find out where they are coming from. So let's assume there is already an issue of domestic violence, which can either be the man beating the woman or the woman beating the man. It's not gender specific. It can be either ways. So if you have a situation like that, then the first thing I tell people is, you have to, be safe. And in such instances, it's great for you to separate. I'm not saying divorce. It's great for you to separate. Give yourself some breather. Give yourself some space. Let air, come on you. Take some breeze. Then you can decide whether the relationship can continue or not. Because I've come to realize that it is only the living that can be married. Immediately you die, no longer
life goes on.
Married. Because we say it, the vow says, until death do us part. So immediately you die, marriage is over. So if you find out that the friction is getting so much, a lot of beating, a lot of abuse, and abuse can even be verbal, it can even be emotional as well. So far that is happening, we need to, give yourself, they need to give themselves that space, and then regroup and make informed decision as regards how they want to proceed with that relationship.
I hear you, and I respect your stand as a family mediator. So the second part of the question is, for couples who have, because there's this thing on the internet now, they pack and go. Every little thing, there are too many marriage counselors who don't have experience in marriage, who have never been married, they don't have any certification in any marital course. Every little time someone comes online, because of the stories folks see, it is pack and go. Nobody's talking about counseling. Nobody's talking about therapy. Try and make it work. I mean, for me, if there's no violence, if there's no threat to life, I always say, make it work. Find a way to make it work. So what would you say to couples like that who oftentimes use or measure the success of their marriage based on what they see online? Because that is what we see happening now. Everybody think the online, because, this celebrity divorced today, another one divorced the previous day, or you now go back home. I mean, I just want to know, what you would say to people like that.
Okay, so I'm not an advocate of pack and go. I'm an advocate of, can we see what we can do to support you guys? Because I come to realize as well that quite a number of times people lack understanding. There's a saying, one of the 7 habits of highly effective people is seek to understand first, then to be understood. So most of the time in married relationships, I found out that people don't understand each other. And that's where the frictions are coming from. And that's where, the misunderstandings are coming from. And when the misunderstanding continues to pile, you find out that things begin to degenerate. And before you know it, a lot of things go out of place. Little things you're triggered, you just want to hit, just want to shout, just want to get rid of the person. So when you begin to do that, when you begin to see that, let's say you ignored the red flags, you ignored those things you should have. Now that you know that there's still a way out, can we seek therapy? Can we seek counseling? Can we seek coaching? Very important, because there's still help.
Yes.
Before you say, oh, I'm no longer doing. Because the truth is, if you pack your load and go, and you've not dealt with the underlying issue, if you get into any other relationship, you'll say pack and go. So until you deal, and most of the time I tell people, take a mirror, look at yourself in the face really, and tell yourself, maybe it's me. Because
Self-reflection.
if I do it, my husband does it, at the end of the day, we are happy. Because he sees that, oh, I have areas of improvement. The other party sees that, oh, I have areas of improvement. And before you know it, the two of you, are improving, are growing, and those issues take their lead.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. So, and that brings me to Balanced Me Show. Tell us more about it. I like the name, I must tell you, and I feel like I love the TM.
Yes,
It's like,
trademarked.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I love the fact that it is trademarked.
Yeah.
So kindly tell us about the Balanced Me Show and what you the message that you pass through the show. Yeah, what you do there.
So the Balanced Me Show it has to do with everything about life, love, everything. So it's about the balanced human being, the human being that is in harmony. So it's about everything, your emotions, your spiritual, your physical, your career. So everything about life, that's what we talk about on the Balanced Me Show. Everything. Everything, your life as a mother, your life as a sister, as a wife. We talk about the power of so many things, power of meaningful connections. I love that. For me, that stands out very strongly. I believe in connecting with people. I know you have met me just for a bit, but I've disturbed you. I've disturbed your WhatsApp.
No. Your work comes through. I like people that are intentional.
Yes.
That's me. I love people that are intentional, because some of us process a lot of information daily. We read and digest on the go. But then I love people who are intentional about what they do. To be honest with you, I love it. And I always tell people, don't stop. No response doesn't mean that people are not reading. And that's the mistake a lot of people make. I've had people close down their Facebook pages because nobody's liking my post. They like them inside their mind. Just press the like on your story. I've seen people who would post something on Facebook and the post will only get like 5 likes and no comments. And then I'll see someone else screenshot it and post it on the WhatsApp status with the person's name. Now, we don't know the mileage that our work, have, and what you're doing with your show from the explanation is to try and let people find themselves.
Yeah.
Use your show as an avenue to also express themselves, which is something that I feel like we should do. Everybody needs an outlet. We all need an outlet. The world is hard enough. So, very quickly before we wrap up, I want to say 23 years of experience in diverse sectors.
Yeah.
And now you are mediating for families. What part of your expertise, in customer service, management, did you bring into the new world now of family mediation?
Yes. The thing is, when you're dealing with families as a coach, as a therapist, as a counselor, you have to deal with clients. So customer service comes in. How promptly do you attend to them? How promptly do you schedule them? How promptly do you ensure that they have their sessions? How soon do they get their reports and things like that? So my knowledge from other things that I've done have brought it into L Cubed International Limited, you know, leadership, teamwork, delegation, and things like that. So I've brought all that into what I do at the moment.
Amazing. And for those who are just joining, this is Ayo. She's the queen of premium, premium, premium family life. I said family practice, so I wanted to get it right. She's the other kind of Yana Banter. Right. So she's a family mediator. Ayo has helped, a lot of people. She has different programs. So I want to ask Ayo, for those who might want to connect with you, after the show, how can they connect with you? For those who perhaps have issues that
Yes,
they
they
want to
can just send a
discuss with you.
direct message to me on Instagram,
Mhm.
ayodeji.lawrence.
Okay.
Ayodeji.lawrence, yes, on Instagram, and we'll attend to them.
Okay. I
Yes,
can see that you have a village situation going on there. Family, it's family. All righty. So I'm going to let you go now.
Thank
Thank you so much for your
you.
time.
Thank you
For those
so
who want to
much.
connect with Ayo, please follow her and ask her questions. Ayo is available, like you said, via DM. If you have any issues you want to discuss with her, you want to come on our show, please just follow her. Ayo, I wish you a beautiful day.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for joining the
Thank
show. Please enjoy
you
the rest
so
of the
much.
day.
Thank you for having me. I really
All
appreciate
right.
it.
Yeah,
Thank
bye
you.
for now.
Bye.
Yeah. And for everyone who joined the shows, thank you for joining. God bless you. I appreciate you for joining. I wish you all a beautiful weekend. Please enjoy your day.